All right, guys, let's get into it. So I watched the entire fourth season of Disenchantment. I'm gonna give you my review and my take on it so far. Well, not so far, but like if they have another season, then I'm gonna watch and review it. If they don't, then hopefully they do because I'll tell you in a second. So basically, I'm gonna start from episode one. It left on the cliffhanger of she arrived at hell with her mom. She gets off. Bean gets off the elevator, and she basically what happens is that Bean's about to get married to Satan to I guess complete some type of debt to hell that her mom has. They don't really get into like what the debt really is about and how it started. They just say that she's about to repay the debt to hell by marrying Satan or whatever. And of course, you know what Dean does, like since season one, she runs off from the altar. Her mom and her have like a not like a sweet dialogue, but it's kind of just like it's weird because it's kind of like her mom is living vicariously through her in a way, but like her relationship with her mom is weird throughout this season, like just like all the other seasons. I think last season you saw like a good side of her mother, but like I guess that was kind of fake because she was just pretending to be a nice mom for her so she can manipulate her daughter into doing what she wanted to do, which was to go to hell and marry Satan or whatever. So yeah, she doesn't have to be nice to her anymore, and she's kind of like the sarcastic, rude, bitchy mom who is kind of out of touch with her daughter's emotions. Like I they say also in the show like she doesn't really see, like I think Lucy said it the best when he was trying to give his like psychological speech or whatever. He basically said that like being your mom doesn't see you as a person, she sees you as an extension of herself. So that can probably explain why she lives vicariously through you, because I guess because her mom is still kind of a mystery. I don't really know what like she's done in her life before she met the king or whatever. But well, I think his name's Zog. Yeah, so like basically we have flashbacks from previous seasons about her and Zog or whatever, and being when she was a kid before she was frozen to stone. Long story. If you haven't seen the show yet, I suggest you watch it before you watch this video. Spoiler alert. Obviously, if I'm doing a review, I'm gonna give spoilers. That's kind of just how it is. But so yeah, basically she doesn't see her daughter as a person. She sees her as an extension of herself and basically as a tool to get what she wants in life. Honestly, she doesn't really see anyone as a person other than herself. She thinks everyone's extremely expendable. Even her own siblings, she doesn't really have any real emotions towards, like when they were supposedly dead in season 3 when Bean killed them supposedly. She basically just shrugged it off and was like whatever. She doesn't really care about anyone but herself, and I kind of wanted to see why that is in this season, but unfortunately we weren't really given that due to bad writing. Because this show does have a lot of bad writing, like the dialogue. I'm pretty oblivious when it comes to dialogue, but even in this season, it's kind of like the dialogue was just all over the fucking place. They were trying to do this thing with like improv or whatever, and it didn't really work. It was kind of just like very awkward, very annoying, very time consuming, especially because I think each episode is like, let me see, like less than 30 minutes. I think it's like what 28 minutes per episode. So it's like when you spend time doing improv that doesn't really work, it kind of just like redirects from the actual plot of the story. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, there's like a lot of filler in this season, like a lot of filler. Um and that's like another problem that I'm going to get into soon, because the pacing is, honestly, as the show progresses, it gets worse and worse. Like season 3, the pacing was pretty good. Every episode kind of connected to the other one in a way where it was like more in depth and more had more story, more lore that to attract an audience or whatever. But in this one, it seemed a lot more shallower. Like they seemed like they just picked up and dropped plots every 2.5 seconds. They never had any like real consistency with the plot and the story. And then like also, let's just like go into like, okay, so basically I'm just gonna run through episode 1, short brief moment. So Being runs from the altar. Her mom summons like a bunch of goons to go catch her. They catch her, goes back into not the altar but like the dressing room or whatever to get ready. Then Satan comes in, and then they finally have their first dialogue, which is actually pretty interesting. A new character to introduce to the show. being kind of like, I thought she was kind of flirting with him, but like not really, because like as soon as they started talking, I guess she was trying to like do some psychological tricks with Satan, like basically trying to be like the most toxic person so he wouldn't find her attractive, and she would have to marry him, which is pretty smart. I mean, I think there are instances in the show where like Bean's like really smart and she's very clever on her feet, but there's other instances like where like, and maybe this might be due to her being like a fucking alcoholic. She's always fucking drunk in the previous season, so maybe that's why she's like a little slow sometimes. But she always has like these little eureka moments where she doesn't really tell anyone like the idea she has. She kind of just plays along with it as like it goes on, because you know how in some shows, like, as soon as they have like a huge idea or a smart idea, they like explain it to everyone so the audience knows. But like, I like how they don't do that in this show. Like they kind of just like let us guess like what she's trying to really do. um so yeah, she does that, and her mom comes in and tells Satan not to fall for her tricks or whatever, and Satan says like he doesn't, he's not falling for it anyway. He saw it through it, which I don't believe for a second, because he actually did sound a little convinced, especially because he doesn't really know Bean at all. So it's like, of course, the first interaction would kind of be like the best moment to really manipulate him and trick him to think that she's something that she's not, because that was the first interaction they ever had. Um, so of course they go down for the ceremony or whatnot, and then I guess they have to do like a blood oath contract, with Satan, because it's Helen or whatever. Um, and as she's like going down the aisle, she starts to see like everyone she's killed, and which is like, I don't know, like four people. And then she was going on to say like, oh well, that was self defense, or that was an accident. And then the last person, which was the guy from Steamland, basically she said, yeah, I'll kill him again. Like you could just see like the empathy start to fade as she goes through the aisle. Um, and yeah, so right before they do the blood contract, he goes first, and then of course she has to go second. And then she gives her the knife because, like I said, he doesn't know Bean. Like I think he's trying to like maintain his credit as Satan, as being like the ultimate trickster or whatever. But like he doesn't really know Bean like that. Like he doesn't know what she's really capable of. For all he knows, he basically thinks that she's like a basic woman, and she's just you know typical women shit, like he doesn't know that Bean's a bad bitch, like. So her mom takes the knife and like, yeah, let's not do that. And she, instead of her cutting her own hand, she tries to cut her own daughter's hand, and right before she does it, Bean says, mom, don't. And she pauses for a second, for like a split second, and it's not enough to say that she actually had empathy for her situation. I think she knew what the situation really was going to be, because if she planned this if she planned this all along, like most likely she would know what her daughter would have to do to marry him. So I think she already mentally and emotionally prepared herself for this moment, because cutting your daughter isn't like something you should take lightly, because you're actually physically hurting her. And I think that's the first time she actually physically hurt her daughter, or was trying to. So that's probably why she paused for like a nanosecond. But then she went back, and then as soon as she cut her, Bean snatched her hand away, and her mother accidentally cut her own hand, and then Bean grabbed her arm and placed it on the paper, to sign the blood contract or whatever. So I guess her mom, like Dagar or whatever, that's her name, by the way, is married to Satan now. So yeah, I mean, and then obviously for some reason her dress turns into a more like demonic, hellish outfit or whatever. It blows in flames, and all of a sudden, like she has like a new dress now to go with her, status as Satan's wife. And then Bean starts to run away again, and she does basically, parkour throughout the entire, you know, realm of hell, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. And then, through this episode, less important, but what was it? Lucy and Jeremy from last season basically are in heaven, because Jeremy got an axe to the head, and then Lucy got decapitated by the elevator. So they're both dead now. Somehow Lucy made it to heaven because he sacrificed himself for Bean. And then they start basically throughout the whole episode, they were like talking to God and like asking why he does the things he does. And I guess they're trying to make God seem like he's like a complete douchebag that doesn't really know what he's doing, who does like random shit. Take it how you will. I thought it was okay, I guess. It was cool. It wasn't like super funny. I think like they gave the heaven scenes a lot more screen time than like what they really needed, because I feel like at a certain point they kind of, like I said with the pacing, they kind of like drag shit along. It wasn't like, it wasn't that fucking funny. I think it was funny the first 3 minutes, but then we didn't need to cut back and forth throughout the entire episode. But I guess they meet Bean in hell or whatever to rescue her because Lucy tricked God, I guess, for whatever reason, um, to save Bean. And then as they're trying to escape together, they're trying to go back to the elevator to go back up to Dreamland or whatever. And of course they make it or whatever. I guess they ran into this like demon that knew Bean as Juanita Demonheimer or whatever. I guess that's like her alias to trick him to go down to hell or whatever. I don't know. I don't know that plot. That was kind of like I think that was like season 2 almost. Um, no, I think that was season 3, but like that was like not towards the end. I think it was towards the beginning when they found the entrance to hell. But anyways, that was the end of season episode 1. Damn, I was gonna do a whole season review for this, but I might just do it by episode because I'm already like 11 minutes in. And me doing a whole season because like there's 10 episodes, I'll be here for like an hour and a half, and that's fucking ridiculous. But yeah, so that's basically it for episode 1. I rate this episode, it was actually pretty good. It was pretty well paced. It was interesting because left off, it picked up where it left off last season, so it's kind of already like placed on a high bar to begin with, so I can't really have any complaints for it. What would I give this episode? Wasn't that great. I'll give it like a maybe 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, I'll give it 7.5 out of 10. It wasn't perfect. Like I don't like how the show, their style of like storytelling is going back and forth between A plot and B plot, and their B plots are not that strong at all. Like I can't even really call them plots. Like nothing really happens. It's mostly just frivolous dialogue between like side characters and extras basically, and it doesn't really do anything to strengthen the plot, especially if you have like only 28 minutes and you use like 10 or 15 of those minutes to talk. I guess they're trying to make it like more philosophical with God and stuff like that, but it kind of just like with Lucy, it kind of like he ran with a bunch of jokes that didn't really fit throughout the season. Like I think they're trying to make him too much like a douchebag. He's already kind of a douchebag, but I think they were trying even harder to make him like more unlikable, or like more edgy. But it kind of backfired because like some of those jokes didn't really hit as hard as you think. Because every time he tells like a joke, no one really laughs or anything. Like he doesn't get any applause, so it almost seems like he's thirsty for attention. Um, but yeah, her mom is like still kind of unpredictable too. Like I don't know if she's trying to help her or do. I don't really know anything about her backstory, and I think that's like the biggest strength of the show is like we don't know much about her backstory, and that's what I like about Dagmar is because I feel like if we knew a little bit more about her backstory, I think it would kind of like almost ruin the show in a little bit. Like it kind of just this show doesn't really have that many legs to stand on, and all the legs that it has to stand on are basically like wooden stilts that are on fire. We're losing legs by the minute. Each episode losing another leg. So it's like, season 5, I don't know if they're gonna get renewed or not. Um yeah, but it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Um I like where they were going in with this episode. I like how Elfo doesn't really have. It's weird because like now I guess he doesn't. His soul is there, but then I guess I left out this little detail. His body and soul were kind of severed a little bit. So like I guess there were times where, and this doesn't really make any sense now that I think about it, because he was in heaven and somehow he was talking to Being through his head, like his corpse head, and like you can't be two places at once. Like that's like weird as hell unless he can like astral project into heaven. I don't know. It's just that kind of fucking pissed me off a little bit. Because I was confusing and I was kind of like I think the animators probably didn't know what they were doing with that. Maybe I don't know something that you guys know. Tell me in the comments. But yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you don't want to subscribe, still subscribe. If you don't care to watch this video, please watch this video. It's whatever. But yeah, so I'll come out with episode 2 if this gets like I don't know 5 views. God, I'm so desperate for views. But yeah, that was pretty much my review, my raw review for this episode. I guess I was gonna do this whole entire season, but going through each episode, I guess it does take a lot more time than not. Even with the editing, like it does take a lot of time to really process everything. So I really can't really skim through these like I wanted to. So yeah, until next time, thank you. I enjoyed making this video. I'll see you guys in the next